really quickly, because there's one thing that I did notice, and like I think when I look at Elijah Houston at a street league, right, he is smiling, he's having fun, he's laughing, he's pulling tricks. Like there's this like ambiance to him that he's having fun. He's with all his friends, like he's skating really well, right? The Olympics, I didn't see that. I didn't see the laughter. I didn't see the smiles. I didn't see that love that he portrays in the street leagues. He didn't do well.
I see.
Right. And so I don't know where my question was going with that, but I noticed the extreme differences, you know, and I feel like if he had the same kind of vibe in the Olympics as he does with street leagues, he probably would have done fantastic and probably won.
Well, I don't know him, but I would ask him a couple of questions. Like if he was somebody that I worked with, and consulting isn't a big part of what I do, so this isn't a ploy to get consulting. I always say on any podcast I've gone on, skateboarders get a straight shot to me. I get thousands of questions about stress and anxiety. Skateboarders, if they just say like skateboarder, like I most likely will reply.
You're gonna get a lot of DMs after this show.
Oh wow, yeah.
I do my best to try and reply, but it takes time. But but I do wonder. So the shift in time over to Japan is not insignificant. And some people do really well with, they don't suffer from jet lag. Basically, your body and brain needs to know when it is in time, not just where you are in space. And the way you do that is by, and I highly recommend everyone do this because it's just a nice practice. When you get up in the morning, get some sunlight in your eyes early in the day. That basically sets everything, your immune system, your digestion, your mental health, everything. It sets it down the right path. Also makes it easier to fall asleep at night when you finally decide to go to sleep.
Okay.
When you travel to Japan, I don't know how early he got there, whether or not he was up late texting. I have no knowledge about it at all. But a lot of subpar performance that you see in athletics, but also mental performance is because people travel to other time zones. So a lot of the work I do actually is trying to help people shift their circadian clock fast. You actually have a group of neurons, little nerve cells right above the roof of your mouth. It's a clock. And it secretes this thing that goes to all the cells of your body and coordinates it. Sort of like if this was a watch or clock shop and all of the watches and clocks were at different times, just alarming, it would be chaos. That's what happens to your body when you're jet lagged or when you're up in the middle of the night looking at your phone really bright. So I always say, get some bright sunlight in your eyes early in the day, 10, 15 minutes. Get some bright sunlight in your eyes in the evening. Avoid bright lights of any kind. Just keep them dim from about 10 p.m. till 4 a.m. And of course, skateboarders, right? A lot of skateboarders are going to be out night skating. This is
stay up late.
This is kind of if you're thinking about performance. If you're thinking about mental health, this is not to limit your partying or to limit anything, right? So I just want to acknowledge that it's not the kind of sport that's trying to do optimal performance through all the tricks and tools that other sports do.
Right.
I think that actually, I guess we keep coming back to him, and there are others too. But I mean, it was interesting because when Danny started working with Paul Check, or when I saw a video of him like actually physically training, I remember thinking like, this is skateboarding?
This is crazy.
But he saw what he needed to do, and he needed to keep his body strong. Right. And what he was doing was, so damaging to the joints and connective tissue of his body. That's what he needed to do. Skateboarders typically aren't of that, right? Ilk, because they're not pushing themselves to that point. But I do wonder sometimes, when I start hearing about so-and-so committed suicide or so-and-so's depressed, or, I don't know all the names and faces anymore, and skateboarding's gotten huge, but every once in a while, I'll be like, another person clicked out. Like, what is the deal here? That means that something went off mentally. And typically, unless it was a serious drug alcohol thing, typically, almost always, I'll say, preceding a suicide, preceding a major depression are disruptions in the sleep-wake schedule. It's across the board. It makes everything worse. And when you get that back in alignment, everything gets better. You feel better, you feel stronger, your immune system works, your digestion works, your mental health is better. And so it's so simple, it's cost free, and it's one of the things that we have a ton of science to support. So this isn't like a supplement or a thing you have to take. This is literally getting sunlight in your eyes early in the day, avoiding a lot of bright light in the middle of the night, most days and nights.
To me, you're not talking about an actual like go to bed at 10 and wake up at this hour. Like you're talking about more of like a routine of sunlight and all this stuff, or would you recommend like a certain hours? Like what's your schedule? Like what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I go if I can. I try
play video games at night. You stay up late.
I I don't play video games. I don't get the video game thing.
Okay, it's fun.
I just feel like the video, it is.
Oh, it's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I have some criteria for whether or not I will or will not engage in an activity, and video games just don't make the cut. Yeah. I don't know. It just feels like it doesn't make money. It doesn't. I won't list the other things. It doesn't get.
We don't know. People are making fucking a boatload of money.
That's true. But I wouldn't suggest it as a career path for most people.
But it's fun. Yeah. It's fun. It's a release.
Yeah, so maybe fun is something I'm not as good at as I should. I tend to work a lot. I got a lab and a podcast and a bunch of other things.
I know. And
but I like work.
Yeah. But let me rephrase that though. Yeah. Maybe not your schedule, but like a skateboarder's.
Sure.
Because
I'm
out there skating.
Sure.
We're exerting stuff. Maybe skaters like to smoke and drink at night. Party or do whatever.
Skateboarders, really?
No, just some. But it's like, God, how do you get that back into alignment, right?
So there's perfect, and then there's enough, right? Okay. And also, if you're young, you have to enjoy life. Yes. And if you're old, you have to enjoy life. 100%. So you don't want to be neurotic, right? Nobody wants to hang out with the person that's like, it's 10:30, I go to bed because Huberman said I got to wake up, I got to optimize my neuroplasticity.
It's all Huberman.
Yeah, exactly. Shit. Yeah, exactly. So I think, I go to bed around 10:30, wake up around 5:30.
Ouch.
Yeah. But I like that schedule.
Okay.
And then but I always do the same thing when I get up, which is go outside, get some sunlight in my eyes. I walk
to at 5:30 in the morning.
Well, then I'll walk until it comes out.
Yeah. Are you drinking coffee?
Get some right. So this is to avoid the coffee crash. I highly recommend people wait 90 to 120 minutes after waking up.
Okay.
So let's start with this, and then we'll go to the sunlight thing.
Okay.
Because I'm going to get teased because, this is the thing about skateboarders, right? I acknowledge that the life that is a beautiful life of skateboarding is not about regimen. It's about a lot of spontaneity.
Yeah. There you go.
Right? Spontaneity
carefree.
is being carefree. Right. And so I would never, ever, ever want to short circuit that.
Sure.
Right? I never want to be that guy. But for people that feel like they're veering off.
And we were talking about the mental health issue too.
And that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, 100%. I can't tell you how many people contact me saying, I'm a skateboarder and my friend killed themselves or this or major depression or anxiety. And I think one thing that makes skateboarding so special is that there isn't the oversight usually of parents and coaches. But as a consequence, your friends, basically have to help you identify that stuff. Right. And I look back, and we'll go back to this light coffee thing in a second, but I look back and I think about all of the unfortunate things, the losses of people along the way. And I think, not all of them, but a lot of them could have been avoided.
Right.
Because everyone shows up with their own baggage. And look, some people are just happier. Their neurotransmitters are a certain way when they're born. They grow up in a house where might not have been perfect, but there's a resilience there. Mike Blayback, definitely did not have a perfect childhood. I don't want, I only know what I know, but he's had his hardships. But there's an internal stability to Mike, right? That sometimes people don't have. Right. I mean, he's also one of the hardest working people I know. He's always a half hour early. Right. There's nothing. I always tell him, if there's any anxiety in there, no one can detect it. And then there are other people and they're just barely managing, right? And everything's a mess. And then, so the point is that skateboarding is important for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons it's important is that it governs itself. In fact, the bit of work I've done with special operations, SEAL teams and some Canadian special operations, the communities actually remind me a lot of one another.
Okay.
It self-regulates. Yes, people have their ideas from the outside, but if you are part of that group, there's an understanding and it manages itself for better or for worse,
Gotcha.
Right? Mostly for better, but there's a lot of dysfunction that can slip through.
100%.
That's, to me, is skateboarding. And so there are a couple of things that if one, for instance, is feeling an afternoon crash, like if you're just, despite getting decent sleep, you're just crashing in the afternoons, a nap is a good thing, 20, 30 minutes. Naps. By the way, so neuroplasticity and learning is better and faster if you take a 20 to 30 minute nap in the afternoon.
Okay.
There was a study published last year, a really good journal, showing that if you're working on something, trying some motor learning of some kind, and then you take a 20 or 30 minute just total decompress or shallow sleep nap where you just sleep 20, 30 minutes, you learn much, much faster.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what I do. I nap. I'm a napper.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a good skill.
I'll set my alarm.
Yeah. You don't want to go longer than 90 minutes.
Okay.
Or it can really mess up your sleep.
Usually I'll set it for like, maybe an hour or something because I know it'll take me like maybe 10, 15 minutes to fall asleep. So I get a good like 30, 45 minute nap.
Naps have been shown to improve creativity, motor learning, immune system function.
I knew it. And
some people don't like napping. Some people don't like napping.
Yeah.
But if you're crashing in the afternoon in a way that you don't want to, wake up in the morning and try not drink any caffeine for the first 90 minutes, maybe, or even 2 hours. It's kind of painful at first.
Yeah.
But first of all, that cup of coffee tastes amazing when it does come around.
It hits your
lips. Then it kind of takes you all day long. And basically, you get sleepy because of a buildup of a chemical in your body called adenosine. So if we were to stay up for a day and a half, you just are worked. You're just exhausted. You have a lot of adenosine in your system. When you sleep, that gets cleared out. Caffeine is an adenosine blocker. So when you drink caffeine, you block the adenosine sort of places where it parks. We call it a receptor. But when the caffeine wears off, then the adenosine binds at much higher what we call affinity. Okay. And all of a sudden you just get killed with that adenosine crash.
Yeah, right? I've gotten hit with that adenosine.
Yeah. So when you wake up, just straight in with the adenosine.
Uppercuts, left hooks.
Exactly, just drilled straight in. Woo. So when you wake up, you're kind of groggy. Your body and brain are still clearing out that adenosine. Okay. If you hit the coffee right then, you're preloading a bit of a crash.
I do that every morning.
So just drink water. Okay. And then I brought along the stuff, and no, they don't support my podcast or anything, but the Element, LMNT.
You got them right here.
Yeah. The point of bringing that was not necessarily about Element. It's just it's a high salt solution. I think a lot of...
You drink it in the morning?
I put some in water and drink in the morning. Okay. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of salt. Yeah. And you don't have to get it in that form. That one just happens to taste good. Although I think on the side there are 3 levels of water that you can put in there, and one is salty, one is salty AF.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Salty AF.
Yeah,
exactly. There you go. Salty as fuck.
But some people think they have blood sugar issues and their hands shake, drink too much. Take a little bit of salt, just sea salt, put in some water and drink it. Okay. You'll notice you're just rock solid.
Isn't too much salt bad for you though?
No, only if you have hypertension. Only if you have like serious hypertension. There's a wonderful book on this, but it was also a whole issue of the Thrasher magazine of the science world is Nature, and the trans world is Science magazine. So in Science magazine, there was a whole issue about the myth around salt that surfaced in the early 80s, was that salt is bad, it creates hypertension. As long as you're drinking enough water, salt is fine. In fact, salt is great. And a lot of times you're hungry because you're not getting enough salt. You're shaky because you're not getting enough salt. Not getting enough salt will actually make you anxious. Yeah. And this is why people who starve, anorexics and stuff, and then you lose a lot of water, and they're just, and they're bug-eyed and shaky, and it's terrible. Salt is a stabilizer. Wow. And it's because your nerve cells, your neurons, they can only send electrical signals if there's sufficient salt in your system. The way they work is amazing. They send electrical signals by literally creating these little pores, and salt rushes in. Sodium rushes into the cell. And sodium has a charge. And so it creates this electrical signal. Without that, you can't think straight, you don't feel right, you feel shaky, you're not landing your nollie heel flips.
So wait, if I get like the jitters from like too much coffee, is that the same situation?
That's being over caffeinated, a little bit dehydrated. Here's what I would do to solve that problem. Okay. Really easy. Here we go. I'm going to come back here with a bunch of pills. Please. Legal pills. I would drink some water with some salt in it. And then if you're really jittery, you could take 100 milligrams of theanine, Theanine. Theanine, it kind of takes the edge off. In fact, a lot of energy drinks are now putting theanine in so that you'll drink more of them. Oh, okay. Yeah. But the energy drink thing is kind of weird to me too. It kind of goes with the earbuds thing. Like, I'm glad there weren't energy drinks when I was growing up. Yeah. Because those took me a while to get off the energy drinks. Yeah, it gets you kind of cracked out.
I don't like it. Coffee is my vice. Like I said, I do it in the morning. I'm going to curb that till
push it out 60 mines.
60 minutes to an hour. Yeah, 60 minutes to an hour. 60 minutes. I'm going to do some
Element
citrus salt as AF.
Yeah.
And No, but it's interesting. So where were we going with this mental health thing? We were talking about...
Well, we were talking about, he said coffee.
Yes.
And look, if you're an anxious person, drinking a lot of coffee is not going to be... Yeah. So you wake up in the morning, you get some sun in your eyes.
Sure.
Take the sunglasses off. Most skateboarders don't wear sunglasses, do they?
I mean, when you have to.
I have sensitive eyes, so when I drive in the morning, I always have to put...
Right.
But
not just get up and go outside for a few minutes. Take your coffee outside or whatever. Okay. Take it, even if you're looking at your phone, get that sun in your eyes. It really does make it stabilizes your mental health and your sleep and everything else.
Okay.
And there are good studies on this. It makes it so that 16 hours later, your brain will start releasing its own melatonin, which help you get to sleep. I don't recommend people take melatonin, which is a hormone. It's got all sorts of issues. It's what keeps kids from going into puberty early. Yeah. Whoa. It has all sorts of effects. There are other things if you want, to talk about supplements and sleep, but I cover all that in the podcast if you want to do the deep dive on that. We got an episode on how to sleep, and you can take magnesium this and theanine that. And I actually prefer to see people just look to the cost-free behavioral tools.
Sure.
So, get a nap in the afternoon. If you're agonizing over some trick, just relax. Just take a moment and or 20 minutes and just push down the street and forget about it and then go back to it.
Right.
But of course, the young Henry Sanchez was the young Henry Sanchez because he got 100 reps at the block to everybody's, 3. And just calling them reps, people would be like, who's this guy talking about reps? You know what I'm talking about? Whatever. Yeah. But it's okay.
A lot of people turn the podcast off right now. No, but also the sleep, is there certain hours you should be getting or?
Okay. So most people are sort of designed, meaning their genes have set them up to go to bed around 11 and wake up around 7.
Okay.
Most people. Okay. Then you got your night owls.
Yes, I'm a night owl.
Who really feel great staying up till about 1 or 2 or 3 and sleeping till 10.
Yep.
Great. Do it. It's probably in your genome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the nerdy version of this, because are there any nerdy? There's some nerdy skateboarders
Absolutely.
out there. Yeah. There's what we call genetic polymorphism. Your genes you can have repeats of a certain gene that make you more of a night owl. Okay, you've clearly got that.
I got it.
And then you got your morning people who would like to get up at 5. They feel great and go to sleep around 9:30 or 10. That is not me. I've kind of forced myself onto that schedule. Do you feel is that you?
I wake up pretty early.
And so you're a morning person.
Yeah, I am a morning.
What time do you go to sleep?
It depends. I would say like around 11.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I get like a good 6-7 hours.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I guess that's good.
You look healthy.
Thank you.
You do.
He's got a lot of makeup on. No, I'm just kidding.
What about you, Troy?
About a good 6 hours, give or take. Sometimes, I stay up till like 12:31.
Okay.
And then I get up around 6:45 for my son. Weird. So it's like
How old is he?
6.
Okay, so what I was about to say is, what I just described, the variations in sleep schedules, changes across the lifespan. Babies are sleeping random. Their melatonin is completely abnormal compared to an adult, but normal for a baby. So they're sleeping for 90 minutes, getting up, pooping, change, feed, the whole thing. Then toddlers, it shifts. Adolescents, it shifts. And then when they're really going through their growth spurt, they're sleeping a lot, teens and adolescents.
Right.
And that's because growth hormone is released from, you have this little gland also above the roof of your mouth called the pituitary, and it releases growth hormone. And growth hormone is released in the first part of the night, around the first half of your sleep. And it's extremely important for repair of physical tissue in the body.
Okay.
This is why sleep helps you heal. And early in the night when you sleep is also when motor learning occurs. Okay, so it's when you're learning your nollie heel flips.
Yes.
Or it's when I'm learning my nollie heel flips. And the second half of the night is when you have these really intense dreams. And that's a period of sleep when we call REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, where people's eyes are darting back and forth, but you're completely paralyzed. It's what we call atonic or atonia. And the second half of the night is when you're working through your emotional baggage. It's literally like therapy or trauma release in sleep. So as the hormone we talked about before, adrenaline, cannot be released into the body during REM sleep. So you're having these really intense dreams all about these emotional things that happen. And the brain during that time is also just playing games, sampling all sorts of things. We could probably even plant something. So like this cap, let's see, I bet if we pay attention, what does it say?
Salty.
Salty. there's a good chance that you might have a dream about this because we kind of cued it, right?
Yeah.
So in your REM sleep,
probably get an ad for it on my phone too.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. In your sleep, in your REM sleep, your brain has to make a decision. Is there an emotional significance to this? And so there could be a whole thing about this. I'll see you all with Salty tonight in the in dreams.
But sometimes we don't remember our dreams.
Right. So you'll wake up, but during this time, your body is and your brain is having this intense experience, but you can't move and you can't release adrenaline. Okay. Occasionally you will wake up from one of these dreams.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you'll just be breathing hard. And it's like, whoa, what was that? That was all of a sudden your adrenaline kicked in and woke you up. So if you can't remember your dreams, typically the thing to do is just stay with your eyes closed for a few minutes early in the morning. Also, the moment you pick up your phone, you're bringing in new sensory information. I will say this, if you can take 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the morning and not look at that thing, what's great is that all this subconscious processing that you did at night, all this learning, it's actually available for you to make use of. You will often get your best insights, your best ideas, all sorts of stuff can come to you in that first few minutes after sleep. Even if you're just getting up, doing the dishes, whatever, making coffee, if you're drinking coffee early, taking care of your son. If you immediately look at your phone, you short circuit that whole process. You're bringing in new sensory information.
I remember Andrew Reynolds saying something about that. He's like, I wanted to cut off, going right to my phone in the morning. Yeah. And he's like, it's been wonderful. I'm having like a wonderful morning. You know what I mean? It's not like you're having this anxiety now by just grabbing your phone right away.
Because sometimes when you grab your phone, you can get pissed off by something you see.
Instantly.
Or you can like it. You flip it on and the guy's throwing up a story and he's doing something sick, right? And that's great. But that's going to be there no matter what.
Exactly.
Right? It's going to be there no matter what. And the nervous system, it's customized to your experience and it's always trying to offer you up things. I mean, it is you, but it's trying to offer you up these insights and learning, and it sends these subtle cues that if you pay attention, you're like, oh yeah, I should contact that person, or I'd want to do that, or and the moment you're bringing in information, that all gets shut off.
No doubt.
So you can learn faster, you can remember. Sometimes you'll be halfway through your breakfast and all of a sudden something from your dream pops up. You're like, oh, that's right. Wonder what that was about. That was about. If it was emotionally intense, it was probably in your REM sleep. If it was kind of weird and kind of, that's the early phase of the night, the slow wave sleep.
Where is that like button? Right? Is it right here or right here?
Just a little scroll coming down the bottom.
It's
subscribe
over to it's on your
it's on my
left.
Right?
No, on your left.
Hey, hit that button right there.
Right there.
Right there.
Yeah,
the like button's kind of like in the middle there. It's like we're kind of like
it's like right here?
Kind of.
Like right there?
The subscribe's like over to the left.
It's like right over there. All right.